So bird's eye lowdown on the midterm caper. We don't have a midterm yet. When's the midterm due anyway? Next week?
No.
Oh, I'm the professor. I can say we don't need a midterm and it's okay and everyone's all right with that?
That's a third of our grade.
Oh, a third of your grade? Well, it just means homeworks count for more, right?
No.
So I had this idea that there might actually be, a midterm, and we should have one, and it seems like an important thing. Don't you think? Midterms are important? I wanted to have this discussion about finance a little bit more because I think it's interesting, and a lot of my students are getting jobs in finance, in the finance industry. We now know a little bit about getting a stock quote, and I thought I would also talk about a thing known as a derivative, which is based in the notion of an option. How many people here know what an option is? Nobody?
Stock option.
Well, there are options in the stock market, that's for sure.
Is that like in a deal you get options to financial? That was stock. Like a company will give you like stock options, or they'll give you bond options.
Hmm.
More options.
Let's think about options in a very general way. Suppose you want to buy a house, so you go house shopping, right? And in your search for a house, you find something you like, but when you go to the owner and you say, "I like your house," they say, "Thank you very much." "I want to buy your house," they say, "Great." "I don't have the money," they say, "Go away." You say, "Well, I don't want you to sell it to somebody else. I want to buy your house." You'll say, "Well, I'm not going to take it off the market unless you give me what they call earnest money." And that earnest money on a $300,000 house might make up a number, $10,000. And it might give you some time to arrange your finances with the bank, let's say 30 days. So now what you have is what's known as a wasting asset. The clock is ticking. You have 30 days in which to arrange for the purchase of the house. The house may be under contract until the 30 days is up, in which point the house is back on the market. So that is giving you an option to buy the house. Everybody here who wants to go buy a house will probably be in this situation where they want to put the house aside until they can arrange their finances, and then they execute on the deal. In a wasting asset, what happens when the time runs out and you don't have the money? You lose the 10 grand, which means the 10 grand is worth nothing at day 0, and it's worth $10,000 at day 30. And if you use a linear model, then at day 15 it's worth 5 grand, although you still have an option to buy the full house at that time. So in fact, that option is what's known in the stock market as a call option. And what you're doing is you're calling away the house, and you're paying some money for the time that you have available to you on the underlying, which is in this case, the house. So now, instead of using a house, substitute a stock. Let's assume you have a stock that trades in some round figure like Google. It trades, let's call it $1,000 a share. The option to buy that stock and a wasting asset will have a time at which point the option will expire worthless. If the option is to purchase Google at a specific price, then it's said to have a striker price of whatever that price is, and then it has a time limit. You can look these things up. So for example, assuming Google Finance works, we'll look up Apple. Here's Google Finance, and if we go to the left, we see there are options. And here are the options for Google Finance. Now, Google last traded around $516. So we go to an option which is just out of the money, $515 option, and we see we can get one call option at $515 striker for $4.20. That's $4.20 a share. And that allows you to control $515 worth of stock. That is, you have the option to buy it at $515, but it's going to cost you $4.20. And it's a wasting asset, so what that means is it will expire, and according to this, it expires on February 14th, which is the third Friday of the month. Options always expire on the third Friday of the month, and they settle on the Saturday immediately following. That is the nature of options. If you want more time, then you will pay more money. So if you go to March 14th, where you get a little bit more time, your $515 stock trades at $11. Look, it just doubled, because you kind of doubled your time. And, I say February 14th. I should have said February 2014. Right? So it's a third. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense, right? Because it expires March 28th. If you look at the February 14th, the third Friday of the month, it says expires February 28th. So if you go out to, let's say, January 15 and try and control a $515 a share stock, you're getting, perhaps a good 10 months worth of time. And that expires January 17th, and the 515 striker for Apple is $45.
So you're betting it's going to go up more than $45.
You're betting, yeah, it's going up. So in other words, if you take the $45 you spend to control the $515 share stock, what you're betting is that $45 plus $515, which is $560 or thereabouts, is going to be the price for Apple perhaps 10 months from now. It has to be higher than that for you to make any money. Plus, you're tying up a good deal less money than $515. But there is a catch. When you buy one option, you must buy it in 100 share lots. So take that $45 and multiply it by 100. So that's $4,500. But now, instead of controlling $515 worth of stock, you're controlling $51,500 worth of stock. So, in effect, you're getting kind of like this lottery ticket, an expensive lottery ticket that controls $51,000 worth of stock. That might be $51,000 worth of stock that you don't have. Right? It might be $51,000 that you don't have, $51,000 worth of stock you don't have, but you've got the call option. Now, if you want to execute the call option, you could actually buy the stock and call the stock away. Or you could just sell the call option at any time. So if at any time the stock rides higher than the $565, you can just sell the option. Presumably, the option, which is a wasting asset, will be worth more money as time goes on before it expires. Otherwise, it expires worthless. So that's the risk profile that you've been willing to take by buying the call option. In a free market, for every buyer, there's a seller. So if I have $515 a share Apple stock, I can write a call option against it. And you, the buyer of that call option, will buy it from me. And I will take your $45 and you'll have to give it to me in order to get that option. Moreover, if the call option is executed, I will have to give you my Apple stock. So that's called writing a covered call. Moreover, if I don't have any Apple stock to give you, then you're writing the covered call naked. which means you'll be responsible for coming up with that stock when somebody tries to call it away from you. And if you don't have it, you'll have to go buy it at the higher price in order to sell it. So that's a key element with call options. Yes, sir.
Does the seller set the call price per stock? Like, if I want to sell my option, do I set that price? Can I set
You can ask whatever you like, and someone will bid whatever they're willing to pay. So it's worth as much as the market will pay. It's just like eBay, right? I mean, you can say, I've got this nice thing and I'm going to sell it because I saw on Antique Roadshow it's worth $1,000. And someone says, well, not to me it isn't. Right? So, that's a big deal because you have an options market. The options market, which is run by the Chicago Board Options Exchange, routes all of your retail orders, which is orders for less than 10 options, through an automatic order routing system which does execution in under 11 seconds. In general, it's much faster than 11 seconds. It's completely automatic, especially if you are matching what somebody is asking. In other words, if somebody's asking $10 and you say, okay, I'll sell for $10, then effectively it should be almost instantaneous. The matching engines will just put it together. So those are what they call call options. Then there's another side to the call option. It's called the put option. And here comes the put options. And the put options, they give you can buy these things, or you can sell them, just like the call options. They should come up here. There they are. And so what I can do is if I have some stock, Apple stock, for $515, I can say, geez, what happens if it goes down over the next year? I'll be out all that money. So I want to buy some insurance against it going down. I'll buy a put option. And so then I can have the right to put it to you at $515, but that right will cost me money. And in this case, it costs me a whopping $58 for the right for insurance against the stock going down over the next 10 months. So now the put option is just like a call option, only it's giving you protection. Instead of the right to buy, it's giving you the right to sell. And it gives you the right to sell at a specific strike price. That's your put option. And remember, it's a free market. For every buyer, there has to be a seller. So what has happened here is I may be interested in buying Apple cheap, and I've got a bunch of cash burning a hole in my pocket, right? And so what I'll do is I'll say, instead of buying Apple stock outright, I'll sell you that put. And you can put the stock to me at the high price of $515, and I'll buy it from you at $515, but I'm going to pocket the premium of $58. So I bought the stock net $515 minus $58. So I got it cheaper. So I know guys who just write puts in order to be able to accumulate a large portfolio of stock. When the stock gets put to them, then effectively they take the premiums and they use that to try and adjust the price of the stock. You look like a guy with a question.
I'm trying to formulate it.
Right?
It's almost making sense.
Well, I mean, this is, high finance. So this is a, what we see here, and this is kind of cool, is easy to digest table data. Relatively easy to digest table data. With the bid and the ask, right? The volume, which is done in hundreds, so if you see 10, multiply by 100 in terms of numbers of shares, and then open interests indicating that people have transacted these things and they are open in the market. So there have been 918 options bought and sold at a strike price of $195. Now that could have been a long time ago, back when Apple was $195 a share. These options have been around for a while. What do you think of that? So here they're grouping them all by a single strike price, And then you can see all the strikers at different dates. Cool, right? Who here is lost? Be honest. Yes, Brian.
So, on a put option, I'm just confused about the exchange of the put price, I guess you could say. If I'm selling it at 515 and it drops to 515, someone bought my put option, and I'm going to sell to them for that price, that $57 times every share, where does that go? From me who put the put option up, or from the person who bought the put option?
Well, when you buy an option, presumably somebody has to sell it to you. So when you buy an option, you pay a premium, and the person you buy it from pockets the premium. So presumably, if I sold you the option, I get the money. So I'll give you an example. Heraclitus saw that there was going to be, and this is like an ancient Greek story, okay? That he saw that there was going to be a good crop in olives. So what he did was he went around and he bought all of the options to use all the olive presses during the time when it was growing season but not harvesting season. Then when harvesting season came around, he was the only person who controlled all the olive presses in Greece. And so everybody had to come to him in order to get the olive presses, and he was able to make a boatload of money. And he was able to show his buddy Socrates that you could actually make money as a philosopher. And he's the first person that we know of on record to have used options in the commodity exchange in order to make money. And he did it with olive presses and olives. Right. Now, I don't know if this is an apocryphal story or not, but it's the one that's been passed down in many of the option textbooks. So options have been around for a really long time in one form or another. Sometimes what people do is they pair the call option with the put option, and they call that, option guys have great names for everything, they call that a straddle. And in the straddle, what you can do is you can buy both the put option and the call option at the same time, and because it's a free market, for every buyer there must be a seller, you can sell both the call option and the put option at the same time. Isn't this interesting? And you could do them at different strike prices. So here we see the call option and the put option in the same spreadsheet in what's known as the straddle view. This is a nice big array, isn't it? We should probably pick a simpler stock. How about we do one called, you think IBM would be any simpler? It might be. Apple is complicated. Nope. IBM's just as bad. I wonder why. I could try Google. Google needs options because it's so expensive. I think it's Goog, isn't it? Waiting for Yahoo Finance.
The network.
Huh? It's the network. Even faculty networks are. And this is not like a Java program issue either. It's just like, well, let's not worry about it. The IBM last price was 184. Let's go to something that's close to the money. Oh, look, internal server error. Maybe it's not maybe this is a Yahoo thing. I can't blame ITS for this anymore. So let's go to the $184 striker. And here's 185. That's close to the money. And now we can see the last price for the put and the last price for the call. So if I sell you the 185 striker call for $2, you'll pay me $2. If the stock goes down, you can put the stock to me and I'll have to buy it for $185. But it'll effectively be cheaper because I'll have pocketed the premium. So it really only will have cost $183. Multiply it by 100 because you've got to come up with 18 grand in order to be able to buy that stock, for just one option. But that's how it works. What do you think of that? Good, right? So there's the straddles. If you already own the stock and you start to write straddles, you're writing both a put and a call. When you write both the put and the call at the same time, you get double the premium. Also, people can call the stock away, or they can put the stock to you. People can write these premiums all day long and use them as a way to generate revenue and build a position. For the case of a stock that skyrockets, they lose the stock and they miss out on the skyrocketing stock, but on the other hand, they're gradually bringing in revenue over time. So that's all very interesting. What would it take to parse this data? There's a lot of NAs in here. How would you handle an NA in Java? Let's assume NA came up and you needed to parse it and turn it into a number. What would you do?
Say if it's not a number, ignore it.
Yeah, tell it it's not a number. That's a legitimate way to do the parsing. Let's see, we've got a lot of not a numbers here. But the other stuff looks like it's alright. I'm thinking it should be possible to extract, with screen scraping, option data. What do you think of that? Is that sounding like a midterm? No?
Yeah, maybe something around stocks.
Well, I'm thinking it's nice to get a little financial data processing experience. I don't know why my mouse is taking over like this. That must be a Windows thing. View page source. Right, there you go. So what do we got here? We were looking for table data, I think. Table data. Oh yeah. You want table data? We got table data. It looks like there's so much table data, we don't know what to do with it. What's this other junk? Oh, it's got a lot of stuff. I know. This is a big deal, but you can kind of see somewhere in here there's like some data somewhere. It's just hard to get to it. I'll call it formatting cruft. Is that fair? Sometimes you just find that sort of thing in a... oh, I know why. Because everything here is live. That means I can click on any striker price. I can click on any of these highlighted symbols, and they'll come up. So, life in the big city. How would you parse this stuff? Don't know, right? Jason. Oh, JSoup.
Oh, but Jason?
No. I like JSoup. JSoup's good. I like that. Any other ideas? I got my multi-table parser. Did anybody like that? You guys all hated it, didn't you? Jeez. I worked hard on that. Well, I'm all about trying different things. You guys want to use JSoup for this, that's fine with me. Let's get back to the my little option presentation. So there's my prototypical example. Here the house, instead of $300,000, costs $100,000. We've got to adjust this for inflation now. Here, we'll make it $300,000. Oops, $300,000. You like the house, you want the house, you pay the earnest money, it goes in under contract. They may even list it as under contract in the listing outside the house, and then you got 30 days to come up with the money and make a deal with the bank. Here's Auto Bytel. That's a NASDAQ listed stock, and it has a call option with a strike price of $5. That call option gives you the option to buy 100 shares at $5. Now at $4.59 for the last trade, that call option is trading what they call out of the money, right? So in other words, it has no intrinsic value, it only has the time value. If the call option were, let's say, $4, then it would have a 59-cent intrinsic value as well as a time value. Let's see now. If $60 is the cost to have the option to buy 100 shares of the stock for $500 over the next 30 days, the maximum loss is $60, but the maximum profit is unlimited. So if it costs you $60 for 30 days, what you did was you said it's either worth as much money as the stock goes up minus the cost of the option against the strike price. So let's say the stock goes above $5. Let's say it goes to, make up a number, $10. Huh? Sorry, go ahead.
I said $5.50.
$5.50. Okay. Yeah, let's assume that you're spending, I think, what comes out to be about 60 cents a share for 100 shares. So I'm thinking you probably want to see the stock go over $5.60. So let's assume it goes to $6. So now you've basically made 40 cents a share, because you've got to subtract the cost of the option against the increase of the price of the stock against its striker. So yes, the striker was $5. Yes, the stock went up to $6, but it cost you 60 cents a share to buy the $5 striker stock. So you've got to subtract off the premium of the call from the difference in price in order to be able to show your actual profit. And you could say, well, what if it goes up to $5,000? And I can say, oh, gee, happy day. But that, probably won't happen. Not in 30 days, unless you know something, in which case you can go to jail. So here's the example worked out with the so-called intrinsic value. Intrinsic value means that the option is in the money. So for a call option on with a striker of $5, for it to be in the money, Auto Bytel has to be higher than $5. So if Auto Bytel was trading at $15 and there was a $5 call option, and in fact there may be for Auto Bytel, then that call option is worth at least $10. At least $10, because what happens with a deep in the money call is that the difference between the strike price on the call and the last price on the stock is the intrinsic value of that call. Is this making sense? All right. So let's see if we can find a stock with an intrinsic value. Somebody said something about IBM, $184 a share. So what does that mean for an $84? For a $100 strike price stock, strike price option? That call option doesn't look like it's trading at all. I think you want something that's been trading. Yeah, here's one. Here's a $150 call option, and it looks like it's trading at $34 a share. just picking a number in between the bid and the ask. So that means this call option looks like it has an intrinsic value of $184, which is very close to the trading price of IBM. You could say, well, gee, how come it doesn't seem to have any time value associated with it? And the answer is because the amount of time left in the option is relatively short, perhaps a couple of weeks. All right, because it's almost the end of February, 1 week into March, and then this whole thing expires. So you're basically buying 1 week of time premium on IBM. So it's very close to trading at the intrinsic value of IBM, which is, I guess, what the market is willing to pay. They're saying it's the same thing as buying IBM. Because they don't, who knows what will happen in 1 week in the stock market? Nobody, right? But you can buy a lottery ticket that expires in 1 week, and they can call it a call option. It's not a particularly cheap lottery ticket either. So there's my little lesson in options. I hope I didn't go too fast. Did everybody sort of follow along? Yes? Kyle? Good? Yes? Everybody's all right with this? So, I still don't know why my mouse is taking over. It just seems to want to drift all by itself. Look, no hands, right? Why is it doing this? I think Windows has a mind of its own.
Click the middle mouse button.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
Oh. It's like a feature I never knew about. So I'm thinking you guys can probably look at the headers in here and figure out what the columns are. And you'll be able to extract all the put and option data from the straddle view. And this is the straddle view. So well, let's see now. You should probably get an array of options with symbol, last, change, bid, ask, volume, and open interest, and strike price. And then you'll need an array of, those will be call options. And you'll need the same array, but for put options. What do you think of that? Does that sound like something you guys can do? It sounds like huh? Yeah, I believe the array of put options should be different from the array of call options, right? Because they're both going to have the same fields. Well, they have to be different classes. Maybe you could use a flag that determines whether it's a put option or a call option, since they both have the same columns. Oh, and you've got to have the date. Got to have the date. So I got, what do I have here? The symbol and the month and the date. What happens if I put in an arbitrary date? 4, enter. Oh, he comes up to April. That's pretty good. 05, enter. Yeah, it's working. Somewhat. 05. Yeah, something's not right. Why should that be wrong, I wonder? Oh, it doesn't look like May is in here. They got March and April, but no May. That's why it didn't work out. They skipped May for some reason. So if we made this into a midterm, When would we have it due? 2 weeks? 3 weeks? 4 weeks? 4 weeks? We could certainly write it up, but I'm thinking that maybe what we'll do is I'll throw it out there for you guys to think about, and then we'll write it up for next week. How's that? And then we can give you like 2 weeks from next week to do your midterm, and we'll all have a chance to think about it, and maybe you can bring your questions about options with you. Now I can tell you that options are an extraordinarily complex field, and what you're seeing is just the tip of the iceberg. But maybe we can get our feet wet with it a little bit and try and do some screen scraping with these options. Yes, sir.
We have a dinner.
Who, me?
No, it's a community dinner.
Oh, okay.
We'll be departing.
You guys have to go now.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what you're saying? Okay. Well, the class is over. Drive safely. I hope it stops snowing. Have a good evening.